So, imagine this. The heavy glass door swings open.
Okay.
The little brass bell rings right above your head. And instantly, you're just hit with that smell of dark roasted beans, maybe some sweet vanilla syrup.
Oh, yeah, that classic coffee shop smell.
Right, and the loud hissing sound of the steam wands. So you step up to the counter, the barista looks right at you, smiles, and says, "Hi, what can I get for you?"
And panic sets in.
Total panic. In that exact second, your brain completely shuts down. I mean, every English word you have ever learned just vanishes. You freeze.
It is a kind of terrifying feeling, isn't it?
It really is.
Because you know the vocabulary. I mean, you've studied it in your quiet living room. You've written it down. But the moment you're standing there with like 5 people waiting in line behind
Just
you.
staring at the back of your head.
Exactly. It's like someone pulled the plug on your memory. Your heart beats faster and you honestly just want to run away.
I think every single person listening to this deep dive right now who has ever learned a second language knows exactly what that panic feels like.
Oh, absolutely. It's universal.
We spend hours, writing down grammar rules in a notebook, feeling completely in control. But the real world is loud, it is fast, and it does not wait for you to find the right page in your textbook.
No, it definitely doesn't.
So today we are going to fix that. We're doing a deep dive right into the source of the panic, the coffee shop. But we aren't just going to give you like a boring list of words to memorize.
Right, because that doesn't work when you're stressed.
Exactly. We are going to look at the psychology of why our brains freeze and how you can use everyday English to basically hack this entire experience.
I love that approach because what is actually happening in your brain at that moment is a biological fight or flight response.
Wait, really? Like actual biology?
Oh, yes. The stress of that sudden social interaction releases cortisol. And that cortisol literally blocks your brain from retrieving complex grammar rules.
Wow.
It's a survival mechanism. Your brain is essentially saying, we are in danger right now. Stop thinking about verb tenses.
That is such a fascinating way to look at it. We blame ourselves, but it's just biology.
Exactly. So the solution isn't to try harder to remember complex grammar. The solution is to use language that doesn't require thinking at all.
Okay, so we're trying to completely bypass the stressed part of the brain.
Right.
So how do we actually do that when we walk up to that counter? Because my natural instinct, when I panic, is to use the most basic direct words possible.
Sure.
Something like, I want coffee. It is subject, verb, object. It feels super safe.
And it feels safe to the learner, yeah, because it's grammatically perfect. But if we look at the cultural side of the English language, I want coffee creates a real problem in a cafe.
Because it's too direct.
Yeah, exactly. In English-speaking cultures, there's a massive social premium placed on indirect politeness, especially in service situations.
Right,
When you say, I want, it sounds like a demand. It sounds like a boss giving an order to an employee.
It strips away the social softness. It makes the interaction feel a bit aggressive, even if you're, smiling while you say it.
Right. It leaves no room for the barista's autonomy. So to bypass that, we don't try to build a complex, polite sentence from scratch in our heads.
Because the cortisol won't let us.
Exactly. Instead, we use a spoken chunk. And the absolute best tool for this, the one native speakers use all day long, is the phrase, can I get?
Can I get a coffee, please?
Yes. Perfectly natural.
Now, I know what a lot of learners are thinking right now because we hear this all the time.
Oh, I bet I know what it is.
They're saying, wait, my English teacher told me that can I get it is bad grammar. They told me I have to say, may I have a coffee?
Oh, absolutely. May I have?
Right. It sounds so proper. Whenever I hear may I have, it makes me feel like I am in a 19th century British novel, wearing a top hat and asking for a cup of tea.
And that is exactly the issue.
Right.
May I have is technically correct, sure.
Right.
But language isn't just about being technically correct. It's about fitting into your environment.
Oh, that's a great point.
If you use highly formal textbook English in a loud, modern, casual coffee shop, it actually creates distance between you and the barista. It sounds stiff.
It's like wearing a tuxedo to the beach.
Exactly. It's just the wrong context.
Yeah.
Can I get, on the other hand, is the undisputed champion of everyday spoken English.
Right.
It's friendly, it's cooperative, and it frames the transaction as a polite inquiry rather than like a royal command.
I love thinking about these chunks like keyboard shortcuts on a computer.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right, because if I want to copy a piece of text, I just press Control and C. I don't think about the thousands of lines of computer code making that happen in the background.
You just press the buttons.
I just press the 2 buttons and the action is executed perfectly. Can I get is a linguistic keyboard shortcut. You don't analyze the grammar, you just press the button.
That is the perfect analogy. You pull out the whole chunk, and it instantly reduces your cognitive load. Your brain doesn't have to work hard at all.
You just attach whatever you want to the end of it.
Yeah, can I get a water? Can I get a napkin? Can I get the Wi-Fi password? It's a universal key.
Okay, so we've hacked the opening line, we bypassed the panic, but then we actually have to look at the menu.
And this is where the visual overload hits you.
Oh, it's so much. You look up at the giant blackboard with the white letters, and it is just a wall of confusing words. Espresso, Americano, latte, macchiato, cappuccino, flat white.
It's incredibly intimidating, especially because if we look closely, most of those words are not even English.
They're Italian.
Exactly. They're originally Italian words that the English language simply adopted. Or, well, to be more honest, we just stole them.
We do that a lot in English.
You really do. But the reason this is important for a learner to know is that you should never stress over finding the English translation for your drink.
Right, because there isn't one.
Exactly. An espresso is an espresso everywhere in the world. You just have to say it with confidence. But there's another chunk we can use here, slightly different from can I get, which is I would like. Or the shorter, more natural spoken version. I'd like.
I'd like a latte, please. That has a really nice rhythm to it.
It does. But I want to talk about what happens when you look at that board, you see a word like macchiato, and you realize you have absolutely no idea how to pronounce it.
You freeze again.
You freeze again.
Yeah.
You are terrified of sounding silly in front of the native speakers.
Okay, I have a friend who did exactly this.
Really? What happened?
Yeah, they were visiting an English-speaking city, walked into a cafe, saw this really complicated word on the menu, and just panicked.
Oh, no.
So they didn't even try to say it. They just pointed their finger at the menu board and said, "I'll have that one, please." And I remember thinking at the time it was kind of a defeat, like, oh no, my friend's vocabulary failed them, so they had to resort to pointing.
See, I completely disagree with that assessment.
Really?
Yes, I think what your friend did is an example of high-level communication.
Pointing is high level?
Yeah.
How is pointing high level?
Absolutely. Think about the fundamental goal of language. The goal is the efficient transfer of information from one brain to another.
Okay, fair.
In a busy, noisy cafe, trying to verbally stumble through a word you don't know creates friction. Pointing and using a simple, clear phrase like, "I'll have that one," removes the friction completely.
That makes a lot of sense.
And here's the real secret. Native speakers do this constantly.
You know, that is so true. If I am in a bakery and I see like a complicated French pastry, I don't try to pronounce it and risk embarrassing myself. I just point through the glass and say, "Can I get one of those?"
Exactly. Native speakers point out of efficiency. Learners point out of fear. But the action is exactly the same.
Wow, so it's really just a mindset shift.
Yes, we need to reframe pointing from a failure vocabulary to a highly effective native-like communication strategy. It minimizes the variables. It gets you the coffee without the stress.
Okay, so whether we say, "I'd like an Americano," or we just point and say, "I'll take that one," we get past the drink type. But instantly, the barista hits us with the next question. What size would you like? And here comes another massive pain point.
Sizing is notoriously difficult because every coffee chain seems to have its own invented language for sizes.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Sometimes it's small, medium, large. Sometimes it's tall, grande, venti. It is a completely artificial vocabulary designed by marketing departments.
Which means it's totally normal for your brain to just drop the word completely. You're put on the spot, the barista asks, "What size?" And the English word for big just evaporates from your mind.
I actually had a learner tell me a hilarious story about this exact situation.
Oh, please share it.
So this person was exhausted, very thirsty, and wanted the biggest coffee possible. They got to the counter, the barista asked for the size, and the learner completely blanked. They couldn't remember the word large.
Oh no. What did they do? Did they try to describe it? Like, "I desire the coffee container with the maximum volume."
No, they didn't use words at all. Instead of panicking, the learner just spread their arms out really wide,
Like they were giving a hug.
like they were holding a giant beach ball right in front of their chest. And they just looked at the barista and said, "This big."
I absolutely love that. It's so human. How did the barista react?
The barista just smiled, mirrored the wide arms right back to the learner, and said, "Large."
Large! It's brilliant because it highlights how much we rely on nonverbal communication, even when we are supposedly focusing on learning a spoken language.
It is a massive part of human interaction that textbooks completely ignore. Gestures bypass the language processing center of your brain entirely.
Because you don't have to translate an arm movement.
Exactly. When you use your hands, you are communicating on a fundamentally human level. Service workers are highly trained to scan for visual cues. They want to help you.
Right, they want the line to keep moving.
Yes. If your words disappear, use your body. Show the size with your fingers. Point. Nod. Language is a full-body sport, not just a mental exercise.
Let's say the learner does remember the words, though. Sometimes the instinct is to over-explain to make sure they are understood.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I've heard people say things like, give me the biggest one you have.
And there again, we run into the give me problem. It sounds like an order from a boss. It lacks that cooperative social softness we talked about.
Right.
And honestly, the biggest one you have just takes way too much mental energy for both the speaker and the listener.
So we just go back to our trusty keyboard shortcut. Can I get a large, please?
Simple, elegant, and perfectly natural. Can I get a large, please?
Okay, so we've got the drink, we've got the size. Now, 20 years ago, the transaction would be completely finished right here.
Oh, easily.
The barista might say milk or black, and you'd pay.
It was a much simpler time.
It really was. Because today, ordering coffee feels like walking into a chemistry lab. The sheer volume of choices is staggering.
It really is.
We have entered the modern milk matrix. Whole milk, skimmed milk, oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk.
Yeah.
I mean, it causes severe decision fatigue before you even take a sip of your drink.
It's overwhelming for native speakers,
Yeah.
let alone someone navigating a second language. The cultural shift in coffee shops over the last 20 years has been all about hyper-personalization. We don't just buy a product anymore. We build a custom identity in a cup.
That's a great way to put it.
And with that custom identity comes a whole new set of vocabulary demands.
Okay, so if a learner prefers a specific type of milk, like oat milk, they might be worried the shop doesn't have it. What is the most natural way to ask?
The shortcut chunk here is, do you have? So, do you have oat milk?
Do you have? It seems basic, but why is this specific phrase so powerful?
Because it is a Swiss Army knife of spoken English. It's linguistically much easier for your stressed brain to process than trying to construct a complex sentence with a modifier.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about the mental gymnastics required to say, I would like to ensure that my coffee is prepared utilizing oat milk rather than dairy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's exhausting just to listen to.
Exactly. Do you have oat milk? Is direct. It asks a clear yes or no question, and it establishes the parameter immediately.
And it works everywhere. You don't just use it in a cafe.
Yeah.
You use it at a hotel? Do you have an extra towel? At a clothing store? Do you have this in a medium? At a restaurant? Do you have a vegetarian menu?
Exactly. It transfers seamlessly across almost every customer service environment in the English-speaking world.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about how it actually sounds when a native speaker says it.
Oh, the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because a lot of learners will read that phrase and pronounce it like a robot. Do you have oat milk?
Right. Every word gets equal weight. Every syllable is sharp.
Right, and that creates a very rigid, unnatural rhythm. One of the biggest mysteries for language learners is why native English speakers sound so fast.
We do sound fast to them.
We do, but we aren't actually speaking faster. We're just being linguistically lazy.
Lazy.
Yes. We use a process called assimilation and elision. We link sounds together to save physical energy in our mouths.
So instead of carefully pronouncing do and you, we just sort of smash them together.
Exactly. Let the words flow into each other. It sounds much closer to do you. Do you have oat milk? The D and the Y blur into one sound. Do you have
oat milk? Wow, yeah. It feels much softer on the tongue. It almost feels like a single, slightly longer word.
That smoothness is the secret to sounding natural and relaxed, even if your heart is beating fast.
Okay, so we have navigated the milk matrix. We asked, do you have oat milk? The barista said yes, and we were feeling incredibly confident.
As you should.
But the hyper-personalization doesn't stop at milk. Now we are hit with the flavor customizations. Syrups, sugars, sweeteners.
The vocabulary here gets very specific. If you want a flavored syrup, the key word you need to know is pump.
A pump, like putting air in a bicycle tire.
It is the exact same mechanical concept. A pump refers to the physical action the barista takes with the syrup bottle.
Oh, because they push down on the top of it?
Right. The bottle has a mechanical top. One push down is one pump of liquid. So you say, can I get one pump of vanilla?
It's amazing how physical actions become standard nouns in the language. And then there is the issue of sugar.
Oh boy.
Look, I have a confession to make.
Let's hear it.
A few years ago, I used to order my coffee with 3 sugars. 3 packets of sugar in a single cup.
That is basically a hot dessert. That is way more sugar than coffee.
It was terrible, I know. But over a long period, I started reducing it. 2 sugars, then 1. And now I have developed the habit of drinking it completely black every single day.
Which is much healthier.
Very true. But the interesting thing is that habit completely changed how I order.
Well, if we look at the psychology of language learning, your habit is actually your greatest advantage.
How so?
Human beings are creatures of routine. We tend to eat the same foods, walk the same routes, and drink the exact same coffee every morning.
Yeah, that's true. I get the exact same thing every day.
This is brilliant for language learners because it means you do not need a broad, massive vocabulary for this part of your day. You only need a deep, specific vocabulary for your exact routine.
So I don't need to wake up at 7 a.m. and invent a totally new creative English sentence?
No. You build one mega sentence that describes your perfect drink. Can I get a large black coffee, please? You practice that one sentence until it becomes muscle memory in your mouth.
And then you just use it on repeat.
You use it every day for the rest of your life. It completely eliminates the morning cognitive load. You automate the language.
I love the idea of automating a sentence. But what if part of your routine involves controlling how your drink is made?
Give me an example.
For example, someone who wants to add their own sugar later instead of having the barista do it. If they try to explain that mechanically, they might say something like, put the sugar in a different place, not inside the cup.
Which logically makes sense, sure.
Yeah.
But it forces the barista to pause, decode the unusual phrasing, and figure out what you mean during a busy morning rush.
Right.
It causes transactional friction.
So what's the keyboard shortcut to remove that friction?
On the side, it is a beautiful, clean phrase. Can I get the sugar on the side, please?
Oh, that's great.
It just means separated from the main item. And you can use it for salad dressing in a restaurant, too. Can I get the dressing on the side?
On the side, it's so efficient. And I think it's worth mentioning here that you should never feel self-conscious about your customized order.
Never.
The barista does not care if you want 3 pumps of vanilla or oat milk or 6 sugars on the side. They have heard it all. Just use the chunks and ask for exactly what makes you happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The barista is focusing on the mechanics of making the drink, not judging your life choices.
Okay, so our highly customized, perfectly automated liquid order is complete. But as we are standing there, we look down into the glowing glass display case and we realize we're hungry.
Ah, the bakery case, the ultimate temptation.
It is. It's full of muffins, cookies, sandwiches. How do we organically add a piece of food to an order we've already started?
We just take the chunk we already mastered, can I get, and we drop one tiny word into the middle of it. The word is also.
So the new chunk is, can I also get?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I also get a blueberry muffin?
Yeah, perfect. It links the new request to the previous one so smoothly.
It really does.
But wait, we ran into the exact same problem here that we had with the drink menu. What if I look through the glass, I see the most incredible, flaky, chocolate-covered pastry,
Right.
and I have absolutely no idea what the English word for it is? Maybe it's covered in seeds I can't translate. Maybe it's a traditional French word that native speakers mispronounce anyway.
This brings us right back to the democratization of pointing.
Yes, pointing to the rescue.
The visual menu is a gift to language learners. You do not need to say, I desire the baked bread item containing the melted cocoa center.
Which would be hilarious.
It would. But instead, you just look at the barista, point your finger directly at the beautiful pastry through the glass, smile, and say, I'll take one of those, please.
I'll take one of those, please. It feels almost like cheating.
It is not cheating. It is how human beings communicate when the physical object is present.
That's so true.
If you don't know the word croissant, or if you're worried your pronunciation of croissant won't be understood, pointing removes the risk of failure completely. It is a highly strategic move.
I feel like a massive weight is lifting off my shoulders just talking about this. We are allowed to point. We are allowed to use simple chunks. We are doing great.
You're doing perfectly.
Now, the coffee is ordered. The food is added. We arrive at the moment everyone dreads, the transaction, paying the money.
The social dynamic shifts here. It moves from a cooperative building of an order to a strict financial exchange.
Right.
Usually, the barista will signal this shift with the standard phrase like, that'll be $4.50, or that comes to $5.
That'll be or that comes to. Those are the audio cues that the fun part is over and it's time to pay. What are the only two phrases the learner needs to navigate this?
If you're using plastic, a credit card, or your phone, you simply ask, "Can I pay by card?" And if you're holding physical cash, you extend your hand and say, "Here you go."
Can I pay by card? And like, here you go. Extremely straightforward, but I have to share a story about paying because this fundamentally changed my entire perspective on making mistakes in a foreign language.
Oh, tell me. I love these stories.
So I was traveling, trying to use a language I was just learning. I successfully ordered my coffee. I was feeling so proud of myself.
You did the chunks.
I did the chunks. I pulled out my credit card and confidently asked, can I pay by card? The barista looked at me, shook his head, and said, I'm sorry. The machine is broken. We are cash only today.
Oh, the sudden system failure. That is incredibly stressful.
I panicked completely. My brain literally screamed, you failed. I opened my wallet and it was empty. Zero cash. I just had this piece of plastic. I felt my face get hot. I thought I was going to have to apologize, walk out of the store in shame, and leave my coffee behind.
The anxiety of the unexpected situation. What did you do?
I just looked at the barista, held up my empty wallet, and said the simplest truth possible. I said, I only have my card, and you know what happened.
What? Did they take the coffee back?
No. The barista just sighed, smiled at me, handed me the hot cup of coffee, and said, don't worry about it. Today is free for you.
Wow. That is a wonderful story. It really proves a profound point about human nature and language learning.
It does. I realized that the friction wasn't my fault.
Exactly. As language learners, we have this intense internal bias.
Yeah.
Anytime something goes wrong in an interaction, a misunderstanding, a delay, a confused look, we immediately blame our language skills.
Right. We think, my English is terrible. I ruined this.
But your story highlights that the real world is full of broken machines, loud noises, and system failures that happen to native speakers all day long.
Native speakers experience transactional friction, too. It wasn't my grammar that failed. The internet connection to the credit card machine failed.
Exactly. And sometimes simply stating the truth without over-explaining, "I only have my card," leads to human connection. Or, in your case, free coffee.
Best coffee I ever had.
The lesson is to stay calm. Do not apologize for your English when the card machine is broken. State the reality using simple words and let the situation resolve itself.
Such a powerful reframe. So the payment is done. We're almost at the finish line. But there is one final hurdle. The barista pulls out a black marker, looks at you, and asks, can I get your name?
Ah, the name game.
Yeah.
They do this so they can shout your name out across the room when the drink is ready.
But this simple question causes comedy and confusion all over the world. Baristas misspelling names is a global phenomenon.
It truly is an art form. The acoustic environment of a coffee shop is a nightmare for auditory processing.
It really is.
You have espresso machines grinding, milk steaming, music playing, people talking. It is a wall of white noise. So when you say your name, the barista is basically guessing what they heard. I have a friend named Sophie. Sophie. A very common name.
Right, very standard. Everyone knows Sophie.
She went to her local coffee shop on a Monday. She said, Sophie. They handed her a cup that said Sophee.
Sophee. Creative, but okay.
Right. So she went back on Tuesday. She said Sophie. They handed her a cup that said Soapy. Soapy.
Opie, like a bar of soup you use in the shower.
Yes. She drank a soapy latte. And the best part is, by Friday, the baristas had completely given up trying to decode the acoustics, and they just started drawing a giant letter S on her cup. Just one big S.
That is hilarious. But let me ask you a serious question about this.
Sure.
If I am an English learner and I have a name for my home country, that might be difficult for an English speaker to spell, and I watch the barista write down something completely ridiculous. Should I stop them and correct them? Should I spell it out for them letter by letter?
My strong advice is no. Let it go.
Really? Just let them call me Soapy.
Yes. You have to keep the ultimate objective in mind. Why are you in the coffee shop? You're there to get a cup of coffee. You're not there to give a spelling lesson.
That's a good point.
If you spend 3 minutes explaining the exact vowel sounds of your beautiful name, you are holding up the line of customers behind you, you are frustrating the barista, and most importantly, you are creating massive, unnecessary stress for yourself.
It's really just letting go of the ego, isn't it?
Exactly. The barista does not need your legal passport name. They just need an audio label to yell out into the room. If they shout, large oat milk latte for Soapy, and you are the only person standing there waiting for a large oat milk latte that is your drink.
Claim it.
Claim it and enjoy it.
It actually becomes a fun part of the culture. Taking a picture of the badly spelled name on your cup is practically a required tourist activity. It makes a great story to tell your friends.
Embrace the chaos. It means you are participating in the real world.
So they shout your funny name, you walk over to the pickup counter, the barista slides the hot cup toward you. This is the final moment of the interaction. What is the essential phrase to close this out?
As you take the cup, you look at them and say, "Thank you. Have a great day."
Thank you. Have a great day. It sounds almost too simple. I mean, we hear it a million times a day in English. Why is it so critical?
In psychology, there is a concept called the peak end rule.
The peak end rule.
Yes. It means that human beings judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak and at its end. The ending matters deeply. Saying, "Have a great day," fulfills an invisible social contract in English-speaking cultures.
It acknowledges the barista's hard work.
Exactly. It acknowledges the humanity of the barista who has been working hard on their feet all day. It ends the transaction with warmth.
But it's not just for the barista, is it?
No, it is mostly for you, the learner.
Huh.
Ending on a positive, confident note rewires how your brain remembers the stressful event.
Oh, I see.
If you smile and confidently say, "Have a great day," you walk out of that store feeling like a champion. You feel accomplished. You didn't just survive an English test. You successfully participated in a cultural exchange.
I love that distinction, participating, not just surviving. You know, when you break it down like this, the entire interaction is actually incredibly fast.
It is very fast.
To prove it, let's do a rapid role play. Let's show the listener how all these chunks fit together in real time. We'll do the entire process, from walking in to walking out, in under 60 seconds.
I love it. I will be the barista behind the machine. You be the customer.
All right, I'm walking up to the counter. The bell rings.
Hi there. Welcome in. What can I get for you today?
Hi, can I get a medium latte, please?
Of course. What kind of milk would you like with that?
Do you have oat milk?
We do, yes.
Perfect. Oat milk, please. And can I also get one of those chocolate croissants?
Sure thing. Can I get your name for the order?
It's Alex.
Great, Alex. That comes to £6.50, please.
Can I pay by card?
Absolutely. Just tap your phone right on the screen. Perfect. Your order will be ready down at the end of the counter.
Thank you.
Medium oat milk latte and a croissant for Alex.
That's me. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Wow. We are done. We have our coffee and our pastry.
If you think back to the terror we described at the very beginning of the deep dive, that feeling of your brain shutting down, look at how manageable that conversation actually was. It took maybe 40 seconds.
Because we didn't invent anything. We just used the Lego blocks. Can I get? You have. Can I also get? Can I pay by card? Have a great day. It is just stacking simple blocks together.
Exactly. It completely removes the need for complex real-time grammar translation.
Now, I want to show just how powerful this modular system is. We are going to construct what I call the most advanced coffee order in human history.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
We are going to combine all the vocabulary we talked about into one giant masterpiece of a sentence. You ready to analyze this?
Give me the masterpiece.
Imagine a learner walks up and says, "Can I get a medium oat milk latte with 1 pump of vanilla and sugar on the side, please?"
That is a phenomenal sentence. It is highly specific, grammatically complex, and totally natural.
But if I am a learner and I write that long sentence down on a piece of paper and then I try to read it out loud, my mouth might panic. I might stumble over the syllables. How does a learner deliver a sentence that long without getting tongue-tied?
The biggest mistake learners make here is thinking that fluency means speed.
Oh, yeah.
They think native speakers talk fast, so they try to rush through the whole sentence in one single breath. But rushing is the absolute enemy of clarity.
Rushing is the enemy of clarity. That is a brilliant rule. So what is the solution?
The secret to long sentences is pausing. You have to chunk the information logically.
Okay.
By pausing, you achieve two things. First, you give your own brain a microsecond to load the next piece of vocabulary.
Right.
Second, and more importantly, you help the barista's short-term memory process the order. They are pushing buttons on a screen. They need time to keep up with you.
So how do we divide that masterpiece sentence?
Think of it in 3 distinct beats. Beat 1 is the core drink. Can I get a medium oat milk latte? And then you pause. Let them push the latte button. Beat 2 is the internal flavor with 1 pump of vanilla and pause. Let them push the vanilla button.
Makes sense.
Beat 3 is the external detail and the politeness. And sugar on the side, please.
Let me try the rhythm. Can I get a medium oat milk latte with 1 pump of vanilla And sugar on the side, please.
Perfect. Notice how confident that sounds. It doesn't sound slow.
Yeah.
It sounds deliberate. It sounds like you were completely in control of the situation.
Deliberate pacing. I love it. Okay, we have explored the psychology. We have broken down the cultural expectations. We have given you the exact chunks.
But knowing the theory is only half the battle.
Exactly. Now, we have to bridge the gap between understanding the English language and actually speaking it. We are going to set a 7-day solo speaking challenge for you, the listener.
This is the most important part of the entire deep dive, because confidence does not magically appear before you speak. You cannot read a book until you feel confident and then finally open your mouth. It works the opposite way. You have to force yourself to speak, even when it feels uncomfortable, and the confidence is built as a result of that action.
And you don't need to live in London or New York to do this. You can do this alone in your bedroom. Let's break down a week. What is the assignment for day 1 and day 2?
Day 1 and 2 are about gathering the materials. You are going to listen to this deep dive again. And as you listen, take out a notebook and write down the exact chunks we discussed.
So physically write them out.
Yes. Do you have on the side? I'll take one of those. Write them out physically. The act of handwriting helps encode the information into your memory.
Simple enough. Moving to day 3.
Day 3 is about physical mouth mechanics. You are going to practice a technique called shadowing. You play the audio of us saying the chunks, and you immediately repeat it out loud, trying to perfectly mimic our rhythm, our linking sounds, and our pauses. Don't worry about the spelling. Focus entirely on the music of the sentence. Get your mouth muscles used to producing the sounds you have.
It's like a musician practicing scales before playing a song.
Exactly.
Okay, day 4 and day 5. This is where it gets slightly uncomfortable.
Yes. On day 4 and 5, you're going to stand in your room alone and talk out loud about your favorite coffee order for 2 straight minutes.
2 whole minutes.
2 minutes. Explain what the drink is, why you love it, and how you would order it using the chunks. And here is the mandatory rule. You must record your voice on your smartphone while you do it.
Oh, this is the hardest part. Human beings universally hate the sound of their own recorded voice.
We do. Because of bone conduction in our skulls, our voice sounds deeper and richer inside our own heads. Hearing it played back through the air is always a shock.
It really is.
But for a language learner, the recording is a mirror. You must listen back to the 2 minutes. You will hear exactly where you hesitate. You will hear where you say, or where your brain gets stuck searching for a word.
The recording completely removes the illusion of fluency and shows you reality. It shows you the exact gaps in your bridge.
Exactly. It is painful, but it is the fastest way to grow.
Which leads perfectly into day 6.
On day 6, you retell that exact same order out loud. But this time, if you got stuck on day 4 trying to explain a complex flavor profile, you simplify it.
You find the shortcut.
Right. You use a workaround, you practice the point and smile philosophy with your words, you find the easiest, most efficient way to communicate the idea using only the chunks you know.
And finally, day 7, the peak of the mountain.
Day 7 is the simulation. You stand in front of your bathroom mirror and you play both roles. You are the barista and you are the customer.
I love this.
You run through the entire 60-second interaction out loud. You ask for the drink, you handle a broken credit card machine, you deal with a misspelled name, and you finish with, "Have a great day."
I want to validate how silly this might feel. Standing in a bathroom talking to yourself about oat milk feels ridiculous.
It does feel silly.
But every single time you push those words out of your mouth, you are firing neurons. You are literally rewiring your brain's language center. You are building the neurological pathway so that the next time you hear a real coffee shop bell ring, the cortisol doesn't hijack your brain.
Because the words are already there, waiting on your tongue.
Exactly. The bravest thing a learner can do is try. The simulation prepares you for reality.
Absolutely.
We have covered incredible ground today. We started with the sheer panic of an empty vocabulary. We navigated the cultural preference for, can I get over the aggressive I want?
We learned that pointing is a high-level strategy.
Yes. We hacked the milk matrix. We realized that broken card machines and misspelled names on cups are not failures of our English, but shared human experiences.
It is a lot to process, but it all boils down to minimizing your cognitive load and using the right tools.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, broader thought. We've spent this entire time talking about a 3-minute interaction at a coffee counter. But mastering this isn't really just about getting a cup of coffee, is it?
No, not at all. The coffee shop is a metaphor.
A metaphor for what?
It is the perfect microcosm of human interaction.
Yeah.
It proves that you do not need a massive textbook-level vocabulary to successfully navigate the English-speaking world. You do not need to be perfect.
Right.
You just need a few reliable chunks, an understanding of the culture, and the courage to open your mouth.
The coffee shop is your training ground.
Yeah.
Because if you can walk into that loud, stressful environment, control your heart rate, look the barista in the eye, and successfully use "can I get" to order a drink, you can use those exact same skills anywhere.
Anywhere at all.
You can use them to start a conversation at an airport, to ask a question at a bank, or to introduce yourself at a global networking event. The mechanics are exactly the same.
Once you realize that, the whole world opens up to you. Every counter is just a coffee shop.
Every counter is just a coffee shop. I love that. So here is your real-world call to action. Tomorrow morning, when you go to get your coffee, even if you live in your home country, and you order in your native language, I want you to run the English simulation in your head.
Practice the chunks mentally.
Yes. Walk through the physical space, build the sentence, mentally say, "can I get?" Mentally say, "have a great day." Keep those neurological pathways hot.
Keep building the bridge.
We are so proud of the work you are doing to improve your spoken English. If you found today's deep dive helpful, please subscribe to English on Mic and leave a like.
We'd love to have you back.
We want to keep making episodes that take the stress out of language learning and make these real-world conversations simple and natural for you. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today and for doing the brave work of learning. Keep practicing, keep talking out loud, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Have a great day.